Hello and welcome to this video in which you're watching. And as the title is saying, I am very new to Pokemon battles after many years of playing Pokemon games, and I have never once decided to touch or do any of the competitive battles because I was kind of scared and I didn't really know. Obviously there's a whole kind of meta and whole this and that, and it's like, whatever. I play the game, I do the hunting and I do the collecting and the Pokedex and all that stuff. But you know what? I decided why not today just try it out. So I don't really know a whole lot, but what I do know is I know all the typings of the weaknesses and the strengths, so I have that going for me. But without further ado, may I present the first battle. Starting off with the first battle, the opponent's throwing out their Meowscarada and a Lycanroc, and I do a Coxquavel and a Sableye. I fake out the Meowscarada because I was scared I was going to hit my Coxquavel. And obviously I use Aqua Step and Lycanroc, hoping it would one-shot, which it does. And then obviously I get the Moxie and the speed boost from Aqua Step. And then they send out a Slowking, in which my Sableye I chose to do Shadow Sneak just so I could do some damage. And right here, I don't know entirely understood why I decided to do Feather Dance on Meowscarada, but it could be because maybe I didn't have any other move that would do damage, so I was like, well, I'll just lower it. And then the Slowking is a Surf, which Coxquavel doesn't die, but it's super, and a Sableye takes a little bit of damage. Sableye does another Shadow Sneak, because I'm just trying to get the Slowking's HP down. And I do another Feather Dance, which I don't understand, but I did it. And then obviously I get KO'd by the Energy Ball by Meowscarada, and Coxquavel is gone. And then Slowking uses Surf once again, but my Sableye survives with a little bit of HP, and I send out my Oricorio. And then I use Shadow Sneak on Sableye to get rid of Slowking. If they critical hit at that too. And then my Oricorio, Energy Ball, which Sableye dies, but it's fine because, you know, I got Slowking out. And now my Oricorio hits with Acrobatics, which then gets rid of their Meowscarada. Then I send out the Flamingo, just because it's like the only Pokemon I have left. Both of them decided to Trash Release. I Trash Release for fun, didn't really matter. And the opponent Trash Release, so I just skipped that part. And then my Flamingo decided, and I use Close Combat, which then obviously one-shots Claw. And that's the battle. But I mean, kind of easy, but at the same time I didn't really know what I was doing. Second battle, Amoonguss, and I sent a Coxquavel. I used Attack because I was scared that their Meowscarada was going to use a hit, which it did. And then I used... oh, wait. Not yet. I was going to say Amoonguss. Let's give it a minute. There we go. Amoonguss uses Pollen Puff, which gets to halfway, but not yet. I use Sword Dance next round, just to get some buffs up, because I didn't really have any other thing to use. And then they obviously use Flower Trick. And that obviously one-shots the grass. And it's a critical. Well, that move always criticals. And then obviously, so their Quadsire uses Yawn, which Amoonguss grew drowsy. I use Pollen Puff once more, which gets rid of their Trash Release Meowscarada. And I send out Oricorio to replace my Coxquavel. And they send out their Tinkatonk, and obviously I take damage from Oricorio because they're self-rock up. I use Sword Dance to get some buffs up on Oricorio. And I use Play Rough, which does a little bit of damage, but then my Oricorio uses a Citrus Berry, which gets his HP up. The Quadsire uses Yawn on my Oricorio, and it's drowsy. Amoonguss uses Spore on their Tinkatonk, which makes their Tinkatonk fall asleep. But now my Amoonguss fell asleep from their Quadsire's Yawn the previous round, they withdrew their Tinkatonk and send out a, what is this? A Dragon Bolt. I use Acrobatics just to do some damage, plus I get some extra damage because it uses Citrus Berry and it does not have a held item now. Amoonguss is still asleep. And they sent out their Tinkatink but it's still asleep. And their Amoonguss, my Amoonguss is still asleep, but Dragon Bolt uses Dragon Dart. And my Oricorio survives with just 7 HP. And Amoonguss uses the eject button, in which I send out Flamingo. The Flamingo obviously is going to copy my stats of Oricorio with its... Oricorio is still asleep. I terrestrialized my Flamingo, I just skipped the animation because it was too long. Oricorio wakes up. I use Acrobatics, but Dragon Bolt dodged into use Phantom Force, and I use Close Combat on Tinkatink, which one-shots it, but obviously my defense fell, but that's all good. Their Tinkatink falls, whatever you want to call it. I used Protect because I was scared that Dragon Bolt was going to hit me. I used Phantom Force, but it didn't matter if I protected or not, so it still hit because obviously the move was from the previous round, it just hit right now. So I used Tailwind because I thought I was going to be able to, my Oricorio was going to be able to survive this, but I still have my Amoonguss. Obviously Amoonguss takes some damage because we have the stones on the field. I use Brave Bird on Dragon Bolt, and Dragon Bolt gets one-shotted, and that is basically the whole battle of it all, and I win this round. Second battle is a different team this time than the Aqua Step team. This time it's like I actually don't know what it's called, but it's an Armarouge with a Dock Spun. Their Goldango, when hits my Armarouge with a Shadow Ball, and I use Snarl just to get their special attack down, I think it was, or attack down. Yeah, special attack down. That's I basically spam that with Dock Spun. I send out Annihilate, and Annihilate. Oh no, they withdrew their Murkrow and send out their Ceruleage. I think that's how you say it. I terrestrialize the Annihilate, which terrestrializes into fire. So Annihilate gets hit with a Shadow Ball by Goldango, which was not smart because Rage Fist gets more damage because of it. So now Goldango is faints because, well, maybe it would have, maybe it wouldn't if they didn't Shadow Ball. Dock Spins use Snarl just to lower its attack, and the other team sends out an Amoonguss. The Ceruleage uses Shadow Sneak on me, which doesn't do too much. And Annihilate is to use its Citrus Berry, which heals its back to halfway. Amoonguss uses Clear Smog, which does decent damage to Dock Spuns. And I use Annihilate's Rage Fist one more time on Ceruleage, which then one-shots it since obviously it's a Ghost type. And Rage Fist is a Ghost type move. Dock Spin uses Snarl again, just to lower its... Again, with lowering everyone's special attack, and then Dock Spin uses its leftovers to heal just a little bit. And they are to send out their Murkrow once again. This Murkrow uses Foul Play, and now loses Annihilate pretty decently, but Amoonguss uses Spore on Annihilate, and it falls asleep. And Dock Spin uses Body Press on Murkrow with a critical hit. And uses up its leftovers. I forgot what it was called for a second. Tailwind is gone. Annihilate uses Drain Punch. And Dock Spin uses Snarl again. Don't know why, because they really can't do too much damage. Murkrow, in which it does foul play, and Annihilate survives with just 2 HP. I use Protect because obviously Annihilate only had 2 HP. I was trying to keep him on field as long as possible. Murkrow uses Tailwind. Amoonguss uses Clear Smog, but obviously Annihilate was protected, so it survives. I use Body Press with Darkspawn, hoping that Murkrow would have fainted, but obviously it survived with just a little bit of HP. Amoonguss protected itself, and Foul Play was used by Murkrow, which then annihilated to fall or faint. And I use Snarl, which obviously Amoonguss is protected, but it is to take out the Murkrow, and Amoonguss is the last one standing on the other side. I send out Baxcalibur, my last one. Amoonguss uses Spore on Baxcalibur, which to begin with, I mean, I don't think they would have survived whether they used Spore or not to keep Baxcalibur, you know, asleep. And then Body Press doesn't do too much damage to Amoonguss, but it's obviously I'm still gonna end up doing some damage. They use Clear Smog, that does nothing to Baxcalibur. Obviously Darkspawn's use Body Press and Baxcalibur is still asleep. It's just gonna be a back and forth with just Body Press, but the thing is, the person canceled the battle. They canceled the battle probably because there have been too much back and forth waiting for Darkspawn just to make Amoonguss faint, with just Body Press over and over. Because obviously Baxcalibur was gonna be asleep for a while. Next battle. Starting off with an Armarouge and Darkspawn again. Their Indeedee uses Psychic Surge, and they got with a Psychic Seed. I terrestrialized my Darkspawn because I was very worried about Meowshold, and so I used the Lava Plume so that it increases Darkspawn's defense, which obviously Body Press will do more damage. Their Meowshold uses Population Bomb on my Armarouge, and my Armarouge is to faint after using it 9 times. I use Body Press, which then makes their Meowshold faint. I didn't know if I did need to terrestrialize with Darkspawn, but I just took it just because I was scared if they were to actually survive. Then Indeedee uses Light Screen, and they send out their Dragonite, and I send out my Baxcalibur. Their Dragonite terrestrialize. I use Dragon Dance on Baxcalibur. And Dragonite also uses Dragon Dance. Darkspawn uses Snarl just to lower its special attack a little bit. Indeedee uses Dazzling Gleam, does nothing to Darkspawn, a little to Baxcalibur, in which Darkspawn basically heals it all back up with just leftovers. Dragonite tries to use Extreme Speed, but because it set up Psychic Terrain by itself, it cannot use Extreme Speed. So it was kind of their fault. I was gonna hit Dragonite, but obviously Indeedee used Follow Me, so both Baxcalibur and Darkspawn's hit just hit Indeedee. Indeedee is to faint after getting hit by Darkspawn and Excalibur, and they are to send out a Murkrow. Dragonite tries to use Extreme Speed once more, but obviously due to them setting up Psychic Terrain by themselves, it does not work. Murkrow uses Tailwind. I use Galvanic Rush on Dragonite, which then one-shots it, and Dragonite is to faint. Darkspawn use Body Press on Murkrow, which gets him half HP. Murkrow uses Foul Play on Baxcalibur, which is to make Baxcalibur faint. Darkspawn uses Body Press, in which Murkrow is to faint. That is the end of this battle. Now we are to move on to the very next one. On with the last battle, starting off with Darkspawn and Armarouge once more. Obviously, this team is using the Tatsugiri Dondozer strat. I used Protect because I knew that Driflu was most likely going to use Self-Destruct. And I used Lava Plume on Armoroo's, expecting to get a defense buff on Dark Splins. I do forget I did Protect, but it does some damage to Driflu Tatsugiri. Here's the fun part, Tatsugiri gets burned. Now Drifloom obviously used Explode, and Tatsugiri is used Endure, and I was protected by Dark Sponge. Tatsugiri gets its HP lowered, but hold on, getting to the good part. Tatsugiri faints due to having burn, which was not my intention. I had no idea that burn was gonna get inflicted, and I just got rid of their Tatsugiri, and they are to send out their Dondozer and Flamingo. Okay, now they send out their Dondozer and Flamingo, which I kind of messed up their whole strat accidentally without knowing, and I laughed at this for like a good minute. I used Lava Plume once more to get Bow Baked up, and to do a little bit of damage to the other side. And I get burn on Dondozer, and Flamingo gets burned. I used Throat Chop, on me to lose some HP. I used Snarl just to have it lose some of its special attack, and it was a critical hit on Dondozer, but it did not do much because it's not super effective, or even effective. They are to use Wave Crash on my Armorooge, and my Armorooge is to faint. Dondozer does get some damage recoil, but heals up a little with leftovers. And Flamingo is also still burned, so takes some burn damage, as well as Dondozer. I send out Obama Snow, which puts out Snow Warning. They use Close Combat on me, but because of it snowing, I do have a little bit of extra defense on Obama Snow, since it is an Ice type. Dark Splins use Snarl again. It lowers both Dondozer and Flamingo's special attack. Dondozer uses Earthquake, which doesn't affect Flamingo. Oh, doesn't affect Obama Snow very much. And then Obama Snow uses Blizzard, which makes Flamingo faint, but is not super effective on Dondozer. I am to use Body Press on Dondozer, and I was going to use Giga Drain on Dondozer, but they are to cancel the battle. When there's a winner, there's always a loser, and in fact, I lost 15 battles out of the 21 tries I did. I only won 6 battles out of trying the 21 times. Obviously, some of the battles were super close, and some of them weren't even close to me even winning. Thank you so much for making it this far and watching me win the very few wins that I did get, and also the plenty of loss that I did. Well, at least you did not see the full battle. At the end, I did show little snippets of me, getting the last hit. But I do hope you did enjoy it, and if you did, make sure to hit the like button, and as with that, I bid you a farewell, and bye-bye.